Y'all getting ready to get on that AK. About to see what it is. Show them what you, let me say, move on the side. Show them what you going on with. There you go.
Salute, family. Tank Commander Zulu back at you once again in that Real Man Movement. Today here at the Real Man Movement, we're going to be talking about association and disassociation and the attack, the domestic attack on our nation's capital. And what does all this mean to a real man and a real woman? Let's talk about it here today with Tank Commander Zulu and the Real Man Movement. Fire in the hole, baby. Salute, family. It's Tank Commander Zulu back at you once again and that Real Man Movement. Before we get into the content of discussion for today, I would like to invite everyone to become a subscriber of the channel. If you're watching this, just go down below to your right side and hit that subscribe button. Also, when you hit the subscribe button, there's going to be a little bell icon. Hit that as well. That way you'll be notified of everything that goes on here with Tank Commander Zulu and the Real Man Movement. And I also ask you guys to go ahead and give the videos a thumbs up on the YouTube platform. Give them a thumbs up. We need as many as we can get to keep this content moving and grooving. Now back to the topic of discussion. Association and disassociation. And was the attack on our nation's capital, the domestic attack, was it a part of association or was it a part of disassociation? Let's talk about it. In order for me to really get into this situation the right way, you know, I can remember watching the television on that Wednesday, January 6th, 2021. Watching and looking at these people storm Congress, storm the Capitol, and do exactly what they wanted to, because they were associated with the mindset that America is being taken away from them. And now they're at the point to where they believe they can do whatever they want to do to violate laws, rules, standards, or whatever, in order to get their point across to the world that they are associated with chaos. And let's talk about that because, you know, I have a lot of friends, and I have a lot of friends who are Donald Trump supporters. They're white. Some people are white, some people are black. See, this thing goes a little bit deeper than just being a white and black situation. Although there are some highlights of that actually going on. Some of it is intertwined in the actions that have taken place here as of late. Our commander-in-chief, Donald Trump, has single-handedly produced a situation in an already wounded America. These people have associated their thought process with Donald Trump's thought process. Let's think about that for a moment. Because you can say, Tank Commander, how you know what his thought process is? Well, his actions. Is it not ironic to anyone that the melee didn't really start until after he gave his speech. Is that not surprising to anyone? Does that make sense that these people were emboldened by what the president was saying? That they just simply said, listen, we're going to go into the nation's capital and we're going to desecrate it. We're going to drag people out. We're going to beat police. We're going to vandalize property. We're going to break every rule. And America sat and watched as these individuals, who were predominantly by a long call white. I didn't see many black people there. Now people say, oh, there was just as many black. That's not true. I didn't see, I mean, listen, if there were black people, they're fine. I don't care. They have a right to do what they want to do. But they are of the same associated mindset as the majority of the people who were there. Were they really there to support and to protest peacefully? Or was that just a disguise so that they can gain leverage and do what they did? You see, that's association. And let's talk about the association piece here briefly. I have a friend of mine, I mean, I call him a brother. And he just happens to be one of my white brothers. And we talked about this. We discussed this in a group setting, where we have a group setting where we discuss these things. And he inferred that he was, he made the statement that, well, he was possibly going to go if he was able to, if his schedule was clear, and he had the ability at that time to go, he would have went as well to protest. Because this whole thing was about protesting the election of Donald Trump and saying that it was rigged and that the election was stolen from Donald Trump. That's the entire premise of why they were there, based on what we know. That's why they were there. They were protesting, which was supposed to be a peaceful protest about the election, and in their minds, Donald Trump being a victim of foul play in the election. So this entire protest was based on that premise. It was supposed to be peaceful, though. But now look what takes place. And here's the association. I'm talking about association and the dangers of association. You have to be careful what you associate yourself with and disassociate yourself with. But we're talking about the association piece. Every one of those individuals who went were associated to the understanding that Donald Trump was cheated during the election that just took place, which Joe Biden won. That's the entire premise of why they're protesting, supposedly. But now everyone who went and associated their thought process with that particular understanding, everyone who went there you cannot say anything else, but they are supporters of Donald Trump. And that's fine with me. You can support who you want. I have no problem with it. But the minute that things went to a terroristic place, to a place of terror, to a place of terrorizing, to a place of vandalism, to a place of assault, but not only assault, but murder. There was one of the either the security guards or or a policeman that was killed in that melee. So that's murder. There was a woman that was shot. She was killed. I believe she was shot by the police. You see, all of this was incited, and all of this took place because of the associated thinking of some people. Now, listen, I had a friend, and like I said, we talked about it. He said he would have went, and that was his. I mean, that's okay. That's how he felt about it. But the moment things went the way they did, to where these individuals who are supposed to be protesting peacefully begin to terrorize, they begin to have no respect for the law. They had no respect for private property. They had no respect for anything that they were doing, which was foul and vile. Got to call it for what it is. So now if you tell me you just went to support the understanding that you believe that Donald Trump was the election with Donald Trump was not handled the right way and possibly there was some foul play. You were there to protest peacefully. Okay, that's cool. I don't have a problem with that part. But when the protest goes from being peaceful to a terror attack, when it goes to the place of vandalism, when it goes to the place of assault, when it goes to all these places that these protesters went, then you have an obligation. You have an accountable obligation to disassociate yourself with that crowd. Now we talking about association already. Now we understand what association means. When you connect your understanding to a thought process and you believe in it. Okay, you believe you needed to go and peacefully protest. Now was everybody inside the Capitol? I can't say that. I can't say everybody was in there. But here's the part about disassociation that's valuable. When things went that way, every protester there had an obligation to disassociate themselves from the chaos, disassociate themselves from the crimes that were being produced. I did not see it. So here's one thing about association. Let me flip back to association real fast. When you associate yourself to a thinking process, that thinking process is birthed into an action. That action begins to do something that is sordid and evil and wrong. And if you don't disassociate from it, your argument cannot be, well, I didn't go in there. No, but you were associated with it. You were associated. You didn't disassociate from it. You didn't take the opportunity to say, listen, as this thing was unfolding, listen, a group of you may have gotten together for whatever reason, say, this is not what we came here for. We don't represent or support the actions that are taking place. But I saw more people cheering it on. I saw more people going up and up and up the steps and pretty much supporting the activities that were going on. You hear people even after reporters asked them, do you think that what you did today or what was done here today was something that was that you're proud of? And you hear individuals say yes. They were proud of what took place. They wanted to go in there and drag the people who represent Congress. They wanted to drag them out and beat them and do all kind of things to them. Now this is what you are associated with if you do not disassociate yourself from this type of thinking process. You can't say, yeah, I was there, but I didn't do nothing. No. You didn't disassociate yourself either. You didn't come out and say, listen, I will not be a part of this. This is not what I stand for. The president didn't come out and vehemently disassociate himself. He didn't come on there and speak strong like a real leader should. And talk the people down because he's the same one who talked them up. He emboldened them. He gave them what they needed to do exactly what they did. He sent subliminals like, I'm in support of what you're doing and I got your back. So it gave them the courage to do exactly what they did. Am I surprised? Really? No, because I'll tell you one thing. When you are associated with the thought process of people who think that way, people who believe that if things do not go the way they want them to go, then they have the right to do exactly whatever they want to do. See, this associated thinking and behavior believes when things don't go the way they want it to go, they have the right to torture, to kill, to vandalize, to disrespect, to do all these things that were done January 6th. The attack on the Capitol. I'm not seeing those same people disassociate themselves from that particular mindset, that way of thinking led by Donald Trump, which has birthed this type of activity, this kind of terrorism. Because this is domestic terrorism. That's all it is. Let's keep it real. So I didn't have a problem when my friend told me that he wanted to go. But I said one of the things I did have a problem with is that the friends he said that went, did they disassociate themselves from the melee that took place? I don't know. He said they did, but I haven't seen anything where people came and said, listen, we were there, but we don't support that at all. I'm not hearing that voice, that particular voice of disassociation. I'm not hearing it clearly at all. But the voice of association, even after what has taken place, I'm still hearing that voice strongly. Now the pressure's on. The pressure is on the president, and the pressure is also on those people who, by any real understanding or standard, are idiots. You have to be the most ignorant individual to believe that you can do something like that with all the cameras and all the surveillance systems and modern technology. You got your face mask off. You're not caring about corona at all. You ain't thinking about no corona. You're thinking about just what you want to do. You associated yourself with a corrupt understanding. It's poor leadership. And see, here's one thing about leadership. Poor leadership always creates chaos. It always does. It will always produce chaos because the leadership it doesn't know what it is doing. It's operating off personal principles. And I thought about it, man. So we're talking about association and disassociation. If you associate yourself to anything, and when the association turns into something you don't agree with, you have an accountability to disassociate yourself. Not because of the pressure that's put on you after, but because right in the face of something that you associated yourself with going in a direction that you do not agree with, you should instantly disassociate and make it known that you are not part of that understanding. I didn't come for this. This is not why I'm here. Didn't see that, honestly. You might see some of it now because now, listen, you're trying to get your behind out the fire. If you do not distance yourself or you do not disassociate from what you thought in the beginning, what you associated with in the beginning and you thought was going to be peaceful, when it turns into something violent, disrespectful, or unlawful, you got to disassociate. That's the part of disassociation. Even in the Bible, in the book of Luke 22, verses 54 through 62, it tells the story about Peter. Around the time where Christ was being abducted, was being taken by the soldiers and the people around, there was a lot of people around, and some of the disciples began to flee. And when they captured Jesus, and Peter was there around the actions, and one person saw Peter and said, "Aren't you one of his disciples?" And Peter automatically denies it. He disassociates himself. Not only once was Peter asked this question, he was asked the question 3 times. And all 3 times, he denied, he disassociated himself from Jesus. Now, prior to that, Jesus told Peter was coming to Jesus with this confidence that he will never disassociate from him. That's what he said. He was associated with Christ before he was captured and taken for the crucifixion. He said he was associated till death. But as he was telling Jesus these things, Jesus told him, he says, you're going to deny me 3 times before the cock crows once. And that's exactly what happened with Peter, who said he was associated with Jesus, told Jesus he was going to be associated until the death, a good association. But because of the mindset and the thinking and understanding of those who were around, those who opposed the understanding of Jesus Christ, when Jesus was taken, Peter disassociated himself as soon as he was asked about his association with Jesus. He disassociated himself for reasons of fear, whatever you want to call it. But he disassociated himself. And on the 3rd time he did it, as Jesus said, the cock began to crow. And then at that time, Peter recognized what he had did, and he went away and wept bitterly. You see that story in the book of Luke chapter 22, 54, verses 54 through 62, and I encourage you to go and read that. It's a story of association and disassociation. Peter was rightly associated to Christ, a good thing. But when the times got hard, when things turned, he disassociated himself. He disassociated himself out of fear, out of whatever you want to say it is, but he disassociated himself from the understanding of being with Christ. That may have a different kind of spin on it for some people, but it's actually similar. It talks about association and disassociation. These individuals who associated their thought process with an understanding, which these people did. These really aren't protesters. You can't call them protesters. You have to call them terrorists, because that wasn't a peaceful protest. It was a terrorist act. These people who are deemed as domestic terrorists associated their thought process to an understanding. But the difference is when things start to go a way of disrespect and a way of attacking, producing a terrorist attack, they did not disassociate themselves. They just went on alone. And the same people who were watching it, who didn't disassociate themselves, well, they were part of it as well. Association and disassociation. Let's think about that for a minute. It means everything to a real man and a real woman. What are you associated to? And is your association to whatever it may be, is it a righteous association, which is good? Or is it an evil association, which is bad? By every account, we can see what happened. January 6th was an evil association. Where are you, people who say that you believe in God? Where are you people who say that you are believers in Christ, in Jesus Christ? Why didn't you disassociate yourself in the great numbers that people say was there, who were praying and who were supporting Christ? Why can't we see that? Why haven't we seen it? Well, to tell the truth, as I said earlier, even if you didn't go into the building, you're just as guilty. Because you did not disassociate yourself. You kept your association strong by standing by and watching. And with that, family, I'm going to stop the tank. But before I go, I want to re-encourage you again to subscribe to the channel. Also, give these videos a thumbs up and share them on all of your social media platforms. It is greatly appreciated by the Tank Commander. And remember, fear no man but God, baby. No man but God. Tank Commander Zulu, signing out.